running gag. Running gag.
A running gag.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah. So it's
yeah.
gonna be a joke like home slice, and then I'll just be like, peace out, slice homes. You know what I mean? And just mean it unironically.
Oh, okay.
You're into some weird shit, man.
Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome to Overinspected. Once again, the greatest speedcubing podcast in the world. I am your host, Michael Chai Tea Latte, and with me today are my co-hosts. As usual, we got Manu, and
hello.
we got Mr. Cary.
Hello.
So I actually had a question for you guys because I had a very nice dinner and I had a very nice workout. Okay, so I made spam fried rice. I used green bell peppers. I cooked all them onions, sauteed, stir fried them up. You know what I'm saying?
And Food Network now.
Yeah, I'm curious. I had salmon too. What'd you guys eat, man? I feel so accomplished.
My dad makes this Korean dish called bulgogi, like the meat, and so that's what I had for dinner. But it's like the sauce over rice. It's really good.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So that's what I had. Oh, and then I also ate up like a cereal, like the cereal box, but like that doesn't count as dinner. It was like there's so little left.
That's a pretty good dinner.
Yeah. I think it's a good dinner, but it's like when you have so little left in the cereal box, you're like, I'm doing my family a favor to eat this
exactly.
Up so that,
yeah.
Safe space.
See, I thought the exact same thing because we had a little bit of cheese left. I'm like, okay, well, I need to use this cheese. So what did I do? I made this like little tiny burger. It's just like a veggie patty. Just put the cheese at the bottom, cut up some tomatoes, and then that's it. It's just just bun, cheese, patty, tomato, bun. That's the secret. That's the Krabby Patty secret formula. Honestly, not gonna lie, not the greatest meal in the world.
Oh,
I mean, it tasted
not
great.
So good.
Like, don't get me wrong, but it's like one of those classic college student meals. I feel like I'm still not out of the college student meal days. Too easy to just like throw a patty in the microwave and it's just done.
Yeah.
See, I totally respect all that. I don't really think I would even maybe I would classify as maybe like college day type food, especially the cereal situation. I mean, definitely just having a little bit of cereal left over, but you gotta throw some quick food together. I mean, you have the right mentality, like really, really being frugal. I'm trying to cut back and be frugal again, just because. Stuff's expensive these days.
Yeah. I'm frugal. Yeah, definitely. You know, the other thing I'm gonna blame it on is I was actually editing the podcast before we started recording this one, and then I need to make something fast. So I will blame it on that too. It's actually the podcast's fault that I eat like trash.
No. We should credit the podcast for having you save money.
Exactly.
Sure.
Exactly.
Exactly.
We can use that money on the podcast
good
now.
Work ethic. Anyone can eat, but not anyone could edit a podcast. So you're like saving your time for where it really counts.
I guess that's true, yeah. And it didn't, because like I'm not gonna edit the podcast at midnight, right? But I can definitely eat stuff at midnight. I've done that before. I actually did that I think a couple days ago. So
yeah. Introductions aside, we did have an actual topic that we wanted to discuss, guys. So for me, I was watching Manu, you actually told me about the video, but the YouTuber Michelle Cary, right? That's her name.
Yeah.
Michelle Cary. She had JPerm as a part of her show and a part of her live stream, right? She did a live stream too, and then it just got us thinking all together, just how much cubing has grown just in general, and I was just gonna open up the discussion a little bit. Maybe we just start with who is the most memorable cuber in the social media sphere for you guys? Cary, I mean, I don't know if you have anyone off the top of your head.
Oh, I thought of a joke answer like off the top of my head. I'm probably gonna say a name and you're gonna be like, who?
Let's hear it.
I don't know if I should even say it though, because it's not correct, but it is correct in a certain sense, and it's Isaac Fry.
Who's Isaac Fry?
Who's Isaac Fry?
I've never
heard
of him.
Exactly. See, that's what. See, what I was measuring it off of is like, which Speedcuber has had the biggest like impact on the internet, and like Isaac Fry is like a Speedcuber who is part of this like gaming channel that like 3 million subscribers, and it's called Venturian Tale. But I don't think like anyone who is subscribed to his gaming channel knows that he's even a Speedcuber. So I feel like even though the numbers are there, like no one thinks of him like, oh my gosh, that's Isaac Fry, the Speedcuber.
I see. It's like not like Speedcubing first is what you're trying to say.
Yeah.
Like,
well, okay, so that's why I prefaced that by saying like this isn't a real answer, but it's
Right.
just an interesting like statistic.
All right. Well, if we're going for not real answers, well, this is like a kind of a real answer. Cary, you'd be up in this conversation too, don't you think?
Actually,
maybe. I don't wanna, like, toot my
literally
own
same
horn.
classification. No, like I think Manu's right. Like the
Why not?
same classification. Isn't it the same?
The thing is, you actually
Kinda.
even run a channel that's like primarily Speedcubing content. Actually, I think it's all Speedcubing content, right? So.
Oh yeah, I mean, I think it's kind of like funny because I have one channel, like you said, it is just for Speedcubing stuff, but I think most of the subscribers on that channel are sort of not bleed over. That sounds like a bad word, but it's like people who were subscribed to the bigger channels who sort of discovered like, oh, this is actually Cary Speedcubing, so I'm gonna subscribe even though I'm not a Speedcuber.
Oh,
So it's
interesting.
Well, I think it's important because Speedcubing is such a specific hobby that if someone is not into it, then like none of the videos I'll upload even make sense. Like if I make a video talking about PLL, they'll be so confused. They'll be like, Pretty Little Liars. Why is he talking about that?
Oh, that's a good point. I didn't even realize that PLL is Pretty Little Liars.
Yeah.
Huh.
I think like if you
Oh.
Google PLL, that's what shows up.
Huh. Interesting.
I never thought about that. Well, it's not my answer, but I have another type of maybe, I wouldn't say creator, but personality maybe that kind of falls in that same category. There's this guy, because when he used to stream on Twitch a whole lot, I forgot his name actually, but Manu, I don't know if you know who I'm talking about. It's this Classic World Tetris guy.
Tetris
And then
guy.
he's like a really, really like world-class Tetris player. I'm not sure if he's a champion, or if
Is
he's
his
won
name
the championships
Justin?
before. But I think he's Asian, and then he cubes. And then I only figured that out because apparently he sometimes streams Cube, but he's known for something else. So I find that kind of hilarious. And then also, if you guys don't know, Laser Monkey is a huge Tetris guy. He's actually really good at it. So I just find that that's really interesting. But I actually think like these type of people who cube, or like if these are the people that we're thinking of, that would be maybe pro cubing growth. You know,
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
like
yeah.
a good sign.
Yeah. I think it's cool that like people like still like, you know, we're in 2022, right? And people still associate like the Rubik's Cube with like intelligence, or people just still think that it's like a cool thing to play around with and to do, right? I mean, that's why like I think it wasn't that long ago that when one of our friends Tiffany was on that Wired interview, right, about the growth of Speedcubing. It was only like a couple of years ago.
Cary, were
Wasn't
you
the
there for
video-
that?
I think it was called like Why You Can't Solve a Rubik's Cube in Under 3 Seconds.
Ah.
And
Why it's almost impossible?
Yeah.
We'll probably link.
Yeah, you're right.
Should we link that video down below? It's a
Yeah. I'll editing
Yeah.
Manu will put it up here. But
if you're a
yeah, you
YouTube
can
listener,
also just Google.
if you're a, yeah.
oh yeah. But yeah, you're
I
right.
do remember a lot of Speedcubers praised that video because most like videos about Speedcubing from outside the community are pretty bad, but that one is actually well informed, and kudos to the Wired team for that.
Yeah.
I don't know, Manu. I don't know if you want to go into it more, but I absolutely love that video. Like,
Yeah,
I
it
would
was such
love
a-
to talk about that more.
It was so good because I think like as Cary said, they did like a great job, right? They got like people from the community, right? It's not like people who are like deeply like in the community. Like I think one of the people they interviewed was Tyson, the founder of the WCA, and they also interviewed Tiffany because she was the head of Berkeley Cube Club at the time, right? So it's not like you just got like some random person at a cube competition who doesn't really have like the history or whatever, right? So yeah, I think it was pretty cool that they that they chose the specific people to interview. And what's really cool is I think the guy who was like in charge of that video or whatever, he actually made like another video where he like described the speed solving method. And then he also described like how like I think like he was able to be like 1 minute or something just by practicing like a little bit every
Yeah.
day. So it was cool to see like Wired not only like report on speedcubing, but also like kind of like not entertain, educate other people about like, yeah, like it's, you know, it's not that hard. Like you too can do it. Here's like a quick like 10-minute tutorial that you watch a couple times, and yeah, you too can be solving the cube.
Yeah. I think if it's the guy that I'm thinking of, I think that same person has also made other Wired videos about like why it's impossible to do the like speed climbing in under 5 seconds,
Yeah.
and why
Yeah,
it's impossible
same
to
guy.
like, run faster than like
The
Usain Bolt.
The one
And
I
he
remember,
tries all of the hobbies he talks about.
yeah, the one I remember was hula hooping. I think it was like 32 hula hoops or something, and I like saw that video and I'm like, what? Like this is like I didn't know that this like people did this, right? I guess it's the same thing as speedcubing, right? People don't know that people are speedcubers, but it's like a thing, like it's like a Guinness World Record event too. And he's like, yeah, like it goes into like all like these like complicated things about like, I think there was also, it has to do with like the manufacture of the hula hoops or something, and like how they have to be like a particular, I think they have like tolerances. I don't know, I could be just totally wrong.
I'm sure in the same way that, you know, we have all these different brands of 3x3s, like, oh, this is like a GAN 11M. The hula hoopers have different brands of like, oh, that hula hoop is made by, you know, Hula Incorporated, so it's bad. And that one's made by like Hula GAN, so it's good. So yeah, it's cool to see, because the way that we see their community is probably the same way that outsiders will see our community.
Yeah, I wanted to go into a little bit. You guys are both at the competitions where they were filming? Yeah or no? I don't remember.
I don't think I was.
Well, because like
I don't think I was.
I was hosting a couple of the competitions. I think there was one or two that Wired came to film on. Initially, like they were talking with Tiffany, and then Tiffany brought it to our attention that like, hey, can we film, do some stuff? And then yeah, totally fine. I mean, Tiffany just got to let us know because she's staffing, right? She's gonna, you know, be around. Maybe she's just not gonna do an official solve at a table, stuff like that. So she just gave us a heads up. And truthfully, when they were filming, like it just felt so boring. Like
Boring?
literally
Interesting.
no, because like they were just filming, like they were just doing solves. It was just like any other person filming. And then when I realized what the video turned into, and then when I saw what it looked like, all the editing, all the script, the writing, it all came together. And then it was so beautiful. It's definitely, I would say, out of cubing videos, I would probably consider cubing videos, documentaries, tutorials, like all of that under the same category of content for cubing. It's probably a top 2 video for me. Maybe I'm a little biased too, though. Maybe, but
yeah, I mean, I feel like
I should go rewatch it just to like.
Yeah, I really need to rewatch it because it's been
To remind myself.
It's been a while. I think it must have come out, I think in like 2019 or something. So it's been quite some time. But yeah, I think I agree with you. I think I think this is kind of just true in like for things in general, right? For hobbies in general. I feel like the documentaries about hobbies are always like extremely interesting. Like they're the ones that get you started down the rabbit hole of, oh really? So like, you know, there's like these speed solving methods, and you like start looking those up. Then you're like, oh, this is actually just the beginner's method. There's like a much more like deeper like community behind all of this stuff. And then, you know, you start poking behind these things, and you know, one after another, like the doors keep opening, and it's further and further into Wonderland, right?
yeah, definitely.
Yeah. There's only a finite amount of time, so it's like there's probably hundreds of hobbies you could invest this much time into, but you sort of have to pick the ones that you're really gonna invest yourself in.
Do you guys have you don't need an answer for this per se because there's a whole lot of videos, but do you guys have a favorite cubing video, like just in general?
Oh shoot, there's so many.
There are way too many. I've watched so many cubing videos, right? So
well, I can give you my favorite, you know. And then...
wait. Actually, I can also. I have one too.
Yeah, go.
Okay. Well, I don't know if this classifies under video, but I think this is another documentary. I think the Speedcubers documentary was phenomenal. It did such a great job of like not only introducing speedcubing, right, but also like giving it like. Because in that documentary, this is like not exactly a spoiler. It's a little bit about it's about Max and Felix and World Championships 2019. They did a bunch of filming, and you know they did a lot of interviews and stuff. And yeah, it like all leads up to like World Championships 2019, and I think it was finals. Yeah. I mean, I'm sure both of them were in finals. But I think like the way that they introduced speedcubing, right, and then the way that like they set up the stakes and continue to like what is the word, like examine? No, not examine. Follow. They like follow through like everything that's going on right up until the end, and then there's like this like I think the ending is also like really really good, and it leaves you off. It's like a very wholesome ending. It's like, wow, that was so good. I don't know. I feel like I'm just uttering nonsense at this point, but yeah. Anyway,
No,
I
I
think
know what you
Speedcubing
mean, though.
documentary was really really good. It should be available on Netflix. Please go give it a watch. It is so good.
Yeah. Actually, I don't think I've seen it yet, so that's still on my to watch list. But I think, is that like surprising?
That's
No,
that's
no.
kind of
No, but-
surprising. I remember it was a big deal like in the community, at least when it came out. So
Well,
Yeah.
just to defend you a little bit, the only reason I don't think it's necessarily surprising is I don't think everyone is watching Netflix. You know what I'm saying? I think Netflix is almost you almost consider that everyone has access to Netflix through like a friend. Either they have their own account, but I mean, you know, there are many reasons to have not watched the Speedcubers. So just to
Yeah.
defend you, Carrie, go on.
yeah,
Go on.
but none of those
To make it harder to
reasons are
defend
valid.
me,
So
I also do have Netflix, so
Oh,
yeah,
no.
lot of
exactly. Yeah,
excuses.
I'm sorry, Carrie. Carrie, it's
Carrie,
over. This
come-
is the last episode for you. We're
I
actually gonna replace
tried.
you.
I tried to defend.
I have
you.
to.
It's
I have to
over, man.
renounce my Speedcuber status.
I'm getting you canceled.
Oh well, whatever.
No.
I'm not
But
scared.
yeah.
Well, okay. Well, what I was gonna say is that like, I think what you were talking about how they followed or like reconnected with the like competitors along the way, that is important because a lot of times you can post a lot of results to your WCA profile, but and then the numbers on that page mean a lot to you because you remember like, oh, that 5.7 was a PLL skip, and then like that 8.1 was like a +2 and all that. But to anyone else, it's just a giant swath of numbers that doesn't mean anything. And I think you need to have, you know, like a documentary tell the story of, you know, the journey for those numbers to mean anything.
Definitely.
And yeah, it's like the skill in like turning those numbers into a story is like, you know, storytelling, and you know, it's hard to do.
Yeah.
Well-
I think this like story thing is like very difficult to do, but I think once like feel like humans are really good at like getting invested in stories. Like once you're invested, you just want to like see it to its finish, and like if there are like slight like deviations, you're interested in all of them because it could be in that like, you know, it could be just be a completely different path of the story. So yeah, I think that's what
Yeah.
these documentaries do like a really really good job of, and not just speedcubing. I think this is true for like many other things as well.
Yeah, I
Well,
agree.
What I was going to say, just to kind of like compare and contrast a little bit, or like how the videos are similar. Do you guys know the video Why We Cube from the Cubicle YouTube channel?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I watched that one, and if you guys didn't know, the videographer, or I don't know exactly like what he did in terms of his involvement with creating the documentaries, the videographer / maybe co-producer, his name is Chris Olsen. He has a YouTube channel, Side of the King. He's a speedcuber. Like he started off as a speedcuber and turned
Former
into
world record holder.
Yeah, former world record holder, turned freelance videographer, probably doing so many big things at this point. Like, I'm sure. But I don't know if you guys noticed this, but it felt very similar, obviously, like with Why We Cube and the Speedcubers. But if I had to think about why the Speedcubers was good and why We Cube was good, I really noticed how the only part of the story I was drawn to was the development of the characters. In these cases, they're real life people. So for the Speedcubers, we can talk about it a little bit more. It was just basically just talking about two rivals, their stories, how they started, their inspirations, you know, and then just, you know, kind of them duking it out, but being, you know, awesome, just the whole storytelling process. I'm trying to think of the best way to not spoil it, but honestly at this point, if you haven't watched it, like Cary, I don't know what to tell you.
Yeah,
But,
I know.
I mean, it has been out a while, but
Yeah, I know.
the same reason I actually really like Why We Cube. I almost think I like Why We Cube more. But Why We Cube followed some cubers as well, and the first person that it told a story was Drew Brads, if you guys remember that. Former PRMX world record holder.
Yeah.
I don't know how active he is right now, but yeah, what a guy.
Yeah, I know that, like... Well, I remember, like, he was really known for his loud reactions as well, so I'm sure that also helps tell the story. It's like...
Dude,
you know, when someone breaks a world record, you don't want to... I mean, like, some people don't react very much, but if you want to have, like, a big spectacle, then a loud reaction helps.
Yeah, that is true.
I think the watching Drew Brads and watching Kevin Hayes, their reactions and their solving capabilities makes me feel like cubing is a sport.
Yeah, I agree. I agree.
Like, I love my favorite reaction video to any sort of like win or record or anything. I think Kevin Hayes had 2 separate occasions where he reacted the same exact way, where I think he was on the last solve of 6x6. He finishes it and he looks into the crowd and then he was like mouthing like, I won. And then he just like goes crazy because he had no idea if he won or not.
Oh, I think I remember that.
Yeah, it was like that type of reaction is like so cool. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm so biased to my own hobby, right? I mean, keeping this little thing. It's not really a sport, but it makes me feel like it's a sport.
Yeah.
Yeah, another thing that I remember from Why We Cube is like I feel like one thing is like the Speedcubers sort of feels like it's a little bit more let's say non-Speedcuber oriented, whereas like Why We Cube was more focused for the community. It was like an achievement of like the things that the cubing community has done, and I think that was really exemplified when, you know, because the way that Chris like picked like the people that he was going to follow, you know, the fact that Kit is like one of these people in there, right? Like that is like very cool story in and of itself, but it's something that really I think only the Speedcubing community would really understand, whereas like the Speedcubers is more focused on like, this is what it means to be
Like
a
the
Speedcuber.
fastest people.
This is what Speedcubers do, right? As opposed to like, this is what people got out of Speedcubing, which is like more I think for people who are in it. Yeah, I like repeated myself 3 times, but I hope I made my point.
Well, I actually had sort of because you mentioned Kit, I wanted to go into like the delegate sort of like recognition a little bit, but I wanted to first kind of pivot a little bit and ask if you guys watched the Vox video. It was like way back when Colin Burns
Oh,
had the world
yeah.
record.
Oh, I definitely watched it, but I don't remember.
Well,
See, here,
yeah.
I have an opinion on it, Cary. Did you want to say something first?
Oh, well, I know that video was made by Joss Fong, and she's also made a lot of other videos about like topics like Magic Eye and like healthcare pills in the US. Like, she covers like a wide variety of things. Yeah. Well, okay, first I want to hear what you have to say about it because you brought it up.
No, I was going to say, like, the video was very well done. It was edited very well. The writing, what they were talking about, it was all good. But it's not up there with one of my favorite videos because maybe I'm remembering how the video went incorrectly, but it didn't feel like anyone else in the cubing community was really involved in this conversation except for Colin.
Oh, it was just Colin.
Am I remembering this correctly?
I mean, it's been years since I've seen it, but I think maybe it was because it was like 6-7 years ago at this point, so it was hard to reach out to people, and maybe just like, oh, Colin Burns like recently broke the world record, so we know to reach out to him. But I think they actually filmed it, like the interview, at a competition, so there's one clip where like a kid comes up to Colin and asks him like, are you the world record holder? But aside from that, I don't think they went around and asked multiple figureheads of the cubing community.
Well, that's because of that feeling. That's what made me like the Wired video so much, because they took people from the community, not just the person that's like at the very top of the rankings. And I think that's really important because for me, I don't know how this would be done artistically. I am by no means someone who can create a documentary. I have no skills or capabilities to do that. I just want to set that clear. But it would be, for me, really gratifying if someone took the time and effort when they develop, just like how the story between Max and Felix developed. I would love it if maybe they took it from an organizational standpoint, and maybe they took it from a figurehead standpoint, where they had a documentary about a very, very involved tenured delegate, or maybe they had a documentary involved around maybe one of the older members of the community or the founding members of the community. I just think that would be just more world building and just a whole different perspective, because a lot of those things, those people are inspirations to the people who are at the top of the rankings. Like I want to hear their stories too.
Yeah. I feel like sports documentaries are sort of like this. Like, you know, there are always the documentaries about the people who are the GOATs or the greatest, right? But then I feel like in sports there are like many documentaries. Like I feel like a lot of the 30 for 30s are kind of like this, right? Where they like will delve into like a very particular person and try and figure out, you know, exactly like what was going on, what was the entire story behind all this thing. So yeah, I think like Cubing could also do something like that, but for that I think Cubing would have to grow a lot more in the mainstream, right? It seems very difficult to make a documentary about some like a niche section of an already niche hobby. Whereas, you know, it's a lot easier for someone to understand, like, okay, like, you know, it's speedcubing, they want to go fast, these are the people who are fast, obviously, like, these are the people who are like involved in the community, as opposed to like, because another example would be like, if you think about Smash, right? Instead of like, in one sense you'd be talking to like the best players versus you'd be talking to like the TOs, and obviously like the TO's job is like incredibly important, right? They put on the entire event, there's a lot of logistics and stuff, arguably more so with more so than cubing, right? But you know, it's just like a factor of like who gets like the limelight more. And I think when the Smash documentary came out, the first Smash documentary, I think they did a good job of like, it was a similar thing, right? They got like a lot of people from the community, both like top players, but then they also got a lot of, I think they also interviewed TOs and just like other like semi-random people who were just like involved, but not necessarily like top players. And I think that's like, the mix of the two is kind of what really helped the Smash documentary take off, because I first got interested in Smash because I watched that documentary and I'm like, wow, this is like an amazing scene that's like behind like this like game that we used to play as kids, right? We would just like mess around, just hit each other up for fun. We had no clue who half of the characters were. But yeah, like seeing that documentary, I'm like, wow, there's like so much energy that's like goes into putting these things on, and there's just so much passion in this that's like, I gotta get involved in this. So yeah, I think Speedcubing could also use a documentary like that. That would be really, really cool.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I agree. I feel like it's a shame, but just inevitable that, like, if you just look at the view counts of any hobby, you know, the things that get the most views are like the world record singles, or like, you know, the best of any sort of performance, because that's really all the time a casual enthusiast will have time for. So like, you know, even though there's like so much like passion and like drive for someone who's like becoming a delegate but maybe isn't that fast at solving, it's like, it's harder to sort of like sell their story. But if you can like get someone to start watching the documentary and then put their story in there, then like they're already watching, so like that'll help them continue watching.
Yeah, like they're already invested in like, you know, speedcubing as in general, right? So, like they're more likely to like hear out this like slightly unheard of, or the, I don't want to say dark side, like this unknown side.
The sort of, well, yeah, I don't know what the right word is, but it's sort of like the fast speedcubers are like the gateway people. I don't know if I can say like the phrase, but I'm sure you know what I mean.
I know what you're going for.
I don't know. Totally. I mean, like that's how. Like that goes for anything that maybe can go viral, right? There needs to be something that's going to draw anyone, regardless of whether or not they are actually invested, right? Like I'm biased, I'm invested, but to someone who's not biased and not invested, it's gonna take something like a single. And then I just loop back around. I don't know if you guys have checked those Monkey League videos. Have you guys seen those? The Monkey League
not
recaps on YouTube?
Yeah.
Dude, they have millions of views.
Well, I was gonna say like,
holy crap.
Some of them have millions of views, but what I think is interesting is like Leo Borromeo. I went to his YouTube channel and I saw it had like 350,000 subscribers, and I was like, when did this happen? 'Cause I remember like last time I checked it was like at 100K. But I think it's like he's uploaded a lot of clips from Monkey League, but like only the exciting bits. So like maybe like a 30-second clip where he does something crazy and then like has a really funny reaction. Like I remember this one where he puts on sunglasses after he gets a 4 or something.
That's funny.
See,
and then maybe that's why it's working.
Well, that's the thing. Have you actually watched any of the live Monkey Leagues?
Yeah, I remember there was one time when like there was a live Monkey League, but it was like earlier in the morning or something because of time zones. So I was like watching it in bed, like after I'd woken up.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but I think that it's more boring because you have to sit through the downtime.
Yeah, it depends on like which Monkey League you ended up watching, but near the end, well, as of this recording like mid-February, as of this recording, the Monkey League most recent seasons were actually very, very polished. In terms of the live stream and in terms of the video, they were very polished and done very well. And then what I really loved about Monkey League, you know what? Shameless plug. You know what I really loved about Monkey League?
You can plug
Manu.
it.
You know what I really loved about it? I loved the fact that the order in which they were solving like presented this like whole like new aspect of pressure. So Cuber 1 and Cuber 2, right? So if you're listening on audio, just follow me here. I'll be really, really clear. So Cuber 1 solves first, right? And then Cuber 1 gets 10 seconds. Cuber 2 solves second with the knowledge that he has to beat 10 seconds, right? So that is like pressure because you know the time that you have to beat. So you could even consider like safetying a solve. You could consider like, well, I might as well try something crazy because I'm not going to beat that like type of solve. And then after that solve is done for Cuber number 2, Cuber number 2 then alternates the order. And now Cuber number 2 is going to solve first on that second solve. And now Cuber number 1 has the pressure of following up whatever time is done by Cuber 2. So this was unofficially dubbed by the CubersLive team as the snake format.
The snake solving format, man.
Oh,
yes.
Because like you guys did it. Well, did you do it first?
Well, as far as we're aware, we did it first because when I think so, this was during the Twisty Puzzle Cup era. This was, I guess, like May 2020 when we were designing the Twisty Puzzle Cup. When we wanted all of them to be head to head because like as a live streaming format for cubing, I don't know, we just thought head to head made like the most sense in like a bracket style format, right? So when we were designing it, we were like, okay, we need to put these two people together head to head. But we realized that there might be like some sort of discrepancy, like if Cuber 1 is going first and Cuber 2 is going second, then there might be some sort of inherent advantage of going first or second, where you might need to like play catch up, or Cuber 2 is always going to know what Cuber 1 got, which it could be an advantage or a disadvantage. So then we were like, okay, that doesn't seem super fair. So what can we do to make it more fair? And we were thinking, for example, when you at Nats, right, when they do, it's not exactly head to head, but they bring out 2 cubers at the same time, right? And ideally they like both try and solve at exactly the same time. That would make the most sense, right? So we were thinking you can't really do that in like an online format because then things will get very messy. So what can we do best? Okay, well, let's just alternate. And doing this, we call it the snake solve because it starts with Cuber 1 does 1, then 2, then 2, then 1, then 1, then 2. So it kind of looked like a snake. And I think after we did it, I think the first Cubing at Home did not include head-to-head tournaments, I think. But then afterwards, I think they also included it, and the Monkey League also included it. So I don't know, it was good to see the snake solve format like kind of like spread around. But yeah, I think it makes it like way more exciting. Because it really shifts the balance in terms of like like I'm going first versus you're going first. It's kind of like it's a little like American football, right? Like in overtime, if the other team scores, right, you need to score, you just have to, right? Otherwise you're gonna lose the game. But what the good thing about in college, what they do is that they actually alternate who goes first. That way, the other team, like it's the same amount of pressure for both teams. So yeah. That's why I think it's like a really, really good head-to-head type method. And head-to-head with Speedcubing is like sort of new considering like competitions aren't run head-to-head right now. But yeah, we came up with it. We thought it was cool. I think it's the reason why Monkey League is cool. Well, one of the reasons at least. Of course, Philip puts in a lot of a lot of effort to making all the streams look cool. Everyone who participates is incredible. So.
Right, yeah.
Well, I did have one more question off the top of my head for you guys. I think we went over this in a previous podcast, but it would be a huge injustice if we talked about cubing growth and did not discuss JPerm.
Oh, yeah.
At all.
Well, that's
how we started the podcast, but
that's what I'm gonna say. Like,
yeah.
it's full circle.
Yeah, it comes full circle, right? I mean, because like when JPerm shows up in Michelle Cary's video, like that was like, oh dang, it's somewhere out there. But I mean, when JPerm first started making videos, it was actually hilarious how it was edited. Do you guys remember like how he would just go straight into step 1?
Yeah, I mean, well, okay, so the way I feel about it is like, well, I try to like analyze lots of YouTubers because it's interesting. I think like the YouTube meta right now is no intros, no outros, spend as little time on fluff as possible. And I feel like JPerm was doing that as early as 2016, which I think is like before like Mr. Beast and Ryan Trahan were even doing that. But I feel like another thing is that like if you want to grow on YouTube, you have to kind of, you know, put in the grind and consistency. And I think a lot of cubers like were really interested in cubing, but not so much in that upload consistency. And I think JPerm is sort of like the first time it's really sort of like combined the two in just the right time, just the right place, you know, to sort of explode through the algorithm and not through just like speedcubing fame.
Yeah,
because like he'll get like lots of subscribers just from like the recommended feed, which is, you know, the key to success.
Yeah, I think he like another thing that he did that was really cool is like I think he like also like mixed his content really well. I think like there was a good amount of content that was like put towards like newer cubers, and there was also a cool amount of content that was put towards like newer cubers. Like he would do things like cube reviews or like more advanced like techniques, and then some videos he would talk about like, you know, 10 tips to get better at cross or whatever, right? Things that basically anyone can pick up. So, and I think he did a lot for the shall we say cube education side, speed cubing education. I mean, I've learned a ton from his videos
I think
too.
Yeah, like I'm always surprised because some of the stuff he talks about is like really advanced and like niche. Like he'll talk about like use this ring finger trick for your cross, which like only the top like 10 cubers might care, or like top 1,000 cubers might care about. But like all of his casual viewers will just like sit through and watch it anyway because it's JPerm.
Yeah.
So like now you have like 200,000 people who just know this very obscure finger trick.
See, for the same reasons that you listed, I think I actually find that he is educational to every single person. So what makes JPerm, like with all the things that you talked about and all the aspects, how he blew up in the cubing algorithm. First off, I don't know how much JPerm actually blew up, as his incremental growth was just never stopped. Because he's been...
This is very steady.
Yeah, you know what I mean? I never felt like...
He never fell off.
He has 500k subscribers. You know, I never felt that. You know? But what I wanted to say is he is the first. I don't know if he's the first, but right now I can definitely say for sure he is the only cuber that can, as a cuber, get in touch with every skill level. So he's just good enough to really, really be able to advise people who are trying to become the 1%ers in the cubing community. Like the cubing community are already 1%ers, right? No one does it. But JPerm is just... I hear your cat. That's so cute.
Yeah. I'm trying to figure out like if I should mute her.
Editor in the sky. When you edit this podcast, please don't edit out the meows.
I am not editing out the cats.
That is so adorable.
There's a mute button on her. I'm trying to find it.
That is so... Oh shit!
Wait, no, that's my other cat. Wait, no, she's meowing. My other cat's down here.
Oh, I see.
Oh man. So to the audio
printer.
To the audio listeners, the
Wait,
cat...
she's bending it.
There's a cat on the printer, and the cat that was meowing was at Cary's foot.
Actually, no, she's meowing. The cat on the floor is not saying anything.
Oh
but
my God.
It doesn't really matter. I don't want to sidetrack the conversation.
No. I just look, anything for a cat.
Cats are
Let's just get that.
Cats are always.
out of the way. This is character development, Cary.
It's character development.
Oh, that was no.
Oh no.
Oh
Come
my
on,
God.
dude. If you know the jokes I do, that was bad.
Come on, character development. I think it's not that.
Oh, that was a
Okay.
feline-tastic joke. No.
Okay, that was way worse. That was.
that-
Worse.
Yeah, I know.
that
Well,
was-
okay,
yeah.
I didn't have any time to think of something.
Fair.
Okay,
Okay,
so
Okay.
guys, if you're
Back to the
watching, if you're watching on YouTube, leave a comment. Which joke was worse? If you got this far,
No,
kudos to
mine
you.
was worse. I own up to that.
Oh, you own
But
up.
back on the topic of JPerm, I
Oh,
feel
yeah.
like, if he were just like 2 seconds slower, which is sort of like what speed I'm at, then he wouldn't have the authority to sort of like speak on these advanced tips. Because like you have to be at a certain speed for people to like give you credence when you like say like you should be doing this. Like if someone who averages 20 seconds says, "Let's all learn one last layer," people would be like, "Screw off! You don't know what you're talking about."
I think.
But,
Well,
like, he's also not the fastest, but he doesn't need to be.
well, JPerm was definitely he fits the mold right now. But what I will say is like his predecessor, probably in terms of like who fits the mold of just being in the right skill level to, connect with people who are fast, people who are trying to be fast, and absolute beginners is JRCuber. JRCuber was kind of fit the mold a little bit, but I think at the end of the day, JPerm kind of perfected the craft. It's okay. I love the fact that the cat is listening in on our cubing conversation. That's literally hilarious.
They're interested.
Yeah,
They're interested.
They want to participate.
but what makes
They're learning their
JPerm,
PLLs.
what separates JPerm and JRCuber is that they also make it specifically so that YouTube recommends it. Like it's good, edited, documented content. Like
Right.
they do a really good job at it. Like right now, if you watch content, you don't have really anyone else that's doing everything. Like JPerm just has everything, and he's just doing it right.
Yeah, I think that editing like touch is like the kind of the last like the key that's needed in order to make speedcubing more mainstream, or to grow as a speedcuber, right? Because that way, like, because if you edit consistently like other people do, then your videos are just a lot more watchable, right? Because people know kind of like what to expect, as opposed to I remember the old videos, the Back to the Bad Mephisto days. Like those were like not edited particularly well. He was just rambly, like, he would just hard cut some places. There were not like, any sort of like fancy transitions or even like normal transitions, right? I guess it was a very different game back then, but like I feel like that's kind of why those videos kind of fell off. And when we look back at those videos now, we're like, wow, that's like a really old video. You can just tell just because
Yeah,
of
you
the
can
style.
tell. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Well, I thought this conversation was interesting, guys. I didn't really have too much else to say. This is good stuff. I think cubing is just growing. It's right now. I wouldn't consider it like exponential growth, but I just love the fact that more people are getting interested in what cubing is all about, right?
Yeah.
I think it just kind of mimics like when you're cubing out in public, how people react to it, and I love that it's catching on a little bit more.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like
Yeah.
cubing has always like been like, people have always seen cubing as like, oh, it's a thing, right? But nowadays it really feels like more people are like trying to get involved instead of just like standing from the side and saying like, that's cool. It's more like, that's cool, I want to do this now too.
Yeah. If you're a filmmaker, if for whatever reason you're one of the few people who listen to our podcast, you're a filmmaker, I'm holding you accountable to, in the future, making a documentary about the organization and the stories of those organizers. We want a documentary about Kit Clement, okay?
Oh my god. Kit Clement plug.
Yes, free Kit Clement plug. If you're a filmmaker, gotta do it. Anyways, I think we should wrap, guys. Yeah, that's about it.
Yeah.
All right,
It's a good
cool.
stopping point.
Another day in the office. I gotta get my smoothie going. You know what I'm saying? So I think,
smoothie, good idea.
It's time to go. It was fun.
Yeah. It was fun.
Thanks for watching all. Like, comment, subscribe. You know the deal. Hey, we're trying to grow the channel.
Dislike.
Like, comment,
Don't
subscribe.
comment. Unsubscribe.
No, please don't unsubscribe. Please, we need
This
it.
is called reverse psychology.
YouTube algorithm or Spotify algorithm, Google algorithm.
I don't know if Spotify has an algorithm.
I'm sure Spotify has an algorithm.
I'm sure they have an algorithm.
Yeah, I'm sure they do. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, goodbye everyone.
Peace out.
All right. Peace out, home slices.
Not again. Not the home slices again.